So pick up the file from Blackboard, and I'll pick it up from my laptop here. Where did I place it? Thank you, Mohammed. Oops. Okay, that's the wrong file. No, it's not. Sorry. I have the wrong file open. So it's called week4.sql, and you'll find it under weekly learning. Oh, February 5. Could you change the date, please? That's the first thing you will do. Where is it? February. It's May 30th. Yes, the year is correct. Right, so as promised, I've given you some code today so that you don't have to create the table and the database and so on. So because we kind of know about it a little, but we'll do more select statements just because we have to know a little more. Kind of revise it also what we did last week, and then let's see how it goes. Okay. This is the script that you will open. So you will work in this script. Weekly learning. So under Blackboard, under weekly learning, you will find a file called SQL, week4.sql, right? Are we week 4? Yes, week4.sql. It's under weekly learning, there is this class scripts. So yes, oh, sorry. Under weekly learning, there is class scripts. I'm sorry. Yeah, there is class scripts, and there it's sitting not in any of your folders, but just as a file. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so under weekly learning, class scripts, week4.sql. And I'm going to do a save as so that I put it right in where I need it. And of course, you can save it wherever you like. So it's Wednesday today. I'll go with week 4, and I think it's on employees if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And there we are. Ready? Everybody has it?
No, just give me one moment. Thank you.
Download it. It's an SQL file. Download it. Open your connection and open it with the connection so that you can run it. If you just click on it, it will open up, but there won't be any connection, so you won't be able to run it. So you always have to have a connection. How do you know you have a connection? This yellow execute should be on. It should not be grayed out. Everybody sees it? Okay, are we ready now? Okay, so let's go through this let's go through the script very quickly, and then we'll complete what we have to complete. So it says in purpose, though again, we may not be able to complete everything today, but to create a database with a table therein that stores information about employees now. Keep in mind, we are now, all our tables should be in first normal form. So we can talk about second normal form or third normal form. Yeah, we can actually. We don't need joins to do it. No, we don't. Okay, I'll do it whenever I see something then. Query the data in the table. Query means write select statements, right? That's what querying means. You are retrieving data and perform updates and deletes in the table. So that's something new, but as I said, we'll restrict ourselves to selects today because I want to give you something to work on. Let's see how it goes, okay? So updates and deletes, as the name suggests, updates means you're updating some records in the table, and deletes means you're deleting records from the table. We are still only working on a table in a database. The more than one tables will only come after the reading week, right? We are in week 4 for your information, which means you have 2 more weeks before your midterm, just so that you know. So whatever we do in class is is similar to what you will have in your midterm exam. So you will be given a script to create and queries to do, kind of stuff, okay? Okay, so I have the set environments. I still am sticking to my set SQL mode strict all tables, irrespective of anything, so that you know that the set statements are available. You do see a new set statement today, which says set SQL safe updates to 0. What it is saying is that updates are allowed in this script. You'll say, but why not? It's my script, because you never know how it will be. Updates is change, right? And changes are not necessarily allowed to all users. There are certain privileges that are given, as I said, by the DBA, the database administrator, and you don't have the right to change anybody's table. You know what I mean? Like, so you will be given rights to change your tables maybe. And even then you may have to say, okay, the updates are safe. It's okay to update my table. If you don't have it, I think you get an error, if I'm not mistaken, not a warning, an error that comes up. So it's saying I can do updates in your code, in your tables. And that's what will allow you to do updates in your table. So I've said set the environment. Again, if you want to put what the safe updates is doing, it is basically for updates. So we may not need it till we come to the update statement. You can remove it by then or uncomment it and you'll see nothing will happen. But as soon as I update a table, update my records, it will come up with an error. Okay. The next 3 statements, the drop, the create, and the use, you're all familiar with. Again, it's to be avoided. Necessarily, you may not need it, but I need it because I'm doing it, and I'll rerun my scripts. The drop table command is only if you have to drop a table, which in our case is not true at all because we drop the database, so the table is also dropped, right? Then it says create the table structure. Notice the use of database name dot table name. You may not use the database, but may qualify the table wherever needed. Now, this is something I want to bring to your notice. If you like it, if you like that convention, go ahead with it. You can avoid or you can do without this statement. So line number 18 can be removed altogether as long as you qualify your tables everywhere where you use them. So you say database name dot the name of the table. Advantage, maybe not in this script because there is only a table and there is only what I'm working with, but think of a real-time environment. A programmer is working with different databases during the day, and he's just giving commands on the command line. He's trying to work with a table from one database, another table from another database. So instead of writing use and then doing it, all that the user does is select this from database name dot table name, and he doesn't have to keep using it. The use is simple. The use says I can use only one database at a time. So if you have to change, you'll have to say use again. If you have to change your database, you have to say use again. So this is easier for people who are on the job 24/7. So this is for your information. If you like this format, sure, go ahead and do it. So every table, wherever you use it, whether you use it in your select statement, wherever you use it in your script, if you do not have the use statement, then you have to qualify it. I'm sticking with my use because there are so many selects and so on to write, so I'm just being lazy. But this is just for your information. And you may be asked to do it in an exam or in an assignment. Then this is how you do it. So just for this, I've told you that this is how you will qualify it. It's just a qualification. Who do I belong to? So what does it allow? You can have two tables by the same name in different databases and work on them simultaneously, right? That's the advantage. Again, what you see here are the fields that I have taken, and you will find a new data type today that you have not seen before, right? So a new data type that we haven't worked with. So the employee number, I've stuck to small int unsigned. Now again, last week I was mentioning that anything that's identification strings will work better. There is nothing wrong with it. But if you have to use ints, then be careful. I don't want to see an int or a long int where small int will be enough. And employee numbers are not signed. I mean, they're not negative numbers. So again, I am trying to do best fit in all my code because I'm expecting you to do it by default in all your assignments. Okay. The employee name, varchar 40, you can go 50, no big deal. Job description, varchar 20, just because mine are smaller. The data I have are not too big. System analyst or something programmer is the biggest. So I took 20. That could look a little smaller to kind of look at. You can go 30 or 40. Manager number is a small int and it is unsigned. And actually, the manager number and the employee number are kind of related. A employee will be a manager of some other employee. You see what I mean? So see, their types are same. They're both small int unsigned. So if I am an employee, I could be a manager of another employee. Or my dean, of course, is an employee at Georgian College, but he is my manager and manager of other persons. So a manager ID, if you kind of think of it, the value in the manager ID must exist as an employee number. Otherwise, it's incorrect, right? It cannot happen. So here is something that is also a little different that you haven't heard before. One field's value is dependent upon another field's value. So you shouldn't be able to enter a manager number that is not an employee number, right? This concept is called foreign key. Manager number is actually a foreign key because its value relies on another field in the same table, though it could have been another table also. So the manager number here could have been drawn from employee number in another table. But these fields are called foreign keys. And just by understanding, humans understand it, the machine doesn't understand it, you will have to place a rule saying that the manager number is a foreign key that depends upon my employee number. So that how can a manager number be 25 if there is no employee with a number 25? So we will learn to do that. For now, it's a little early to understand it, but I mean, you should know that there is a connection and logically it should make sense to you. So we will learn how to do it. And this is actually a like it's in the same table. So it's more complicated than from other tables, right? So a field in the table is referring to a field in the same table. Its values have to be drawn from the same table. Also notice that I haven't said not null with manager number, just for the simple reason because somebody at the head will not have a manager. You know what I mean? Like president of the college, there's no manager for her. So her manager, I'll put null in it to signify that this person does not have a manager now. Or maybe some people don't, but just to say, oh, there is no manager for this employee, the manager number I'll say as null. So therefore, I haven't taken the not null option. What is new for you today is definitely the date. We'll come back to it. The salary looks okay. 2 places after decimal, 5 before decimal. Good enough, right? You could, of course, increase it or decrease it. I took it as 5,2 again. Looking at my table, it's unsigned. Salaries are never signed, so I've made it unsigned and I've said it cannot be null. The commission is how much you basically sell, right? So it's basically, you'll see that some are clerks, some are system analysts, and there's also sales managers are also. So salespeople get a commission when they sell something. So this commission is based on what they sold, right? So commission, I've added a commission field. I could have gone smaller. Instead of 7,2, I could have gone smaller because nobody will ever have 100% of the base salary is your commission. But I've said, okay, maximum you can have 100% of your base salary. You can go beyond. You can get a commission of 140 of your base. You know what I mean? So since my salary was only 7,2, I said commission cannot be more than 7,2. That was my understanding. It could be less. The company can tell me, oh, we don't give more than 50% commission. That's our maximum we give. So if it's not 50%, then I can say, oh, I can reduce it to say 5,2. Okay. And it is an unsiled, and I've given it a default of 0. So if a person does not, clerks and system analysts and managers and so on, if they don't need a commission, I mean, commission is not a relevant field, then automatically I won't put anything for them, and it will put a default value of 0. Okay, clear? Is the data structure clear? Any comments that you don't like about the structure? Anything that can be improved in the structure? So we've taken care of unsigned, we've taken care of not null. The only thing that has not been taken care of, because you haven't yet learned it, is that how do I say that the manager number should be a valid value, and that valid value should be one of the employee numbers. It's just a little complicated at this stage. We'll definitely do something like that. Okay, so you can assume that I won't do it, but of course it's a wrong assumption, right? But that's what stands out. Commission could go less depending upon, if you know that the commission is not 100% of your salary, you could reduce that field. But again, I'm just assuming. Then comes the inserting records in the table. So this was just copied from somewhere. I didn't do it myself. Again, I have stuck with the easiest. So it's not the easiest. I wouldn't say it's the easiest, but as I said, I got it. But notice something, though the whole list has been given, all the fields, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All the 7 fields are present in all the records. You still have the option of giving the field list. It doesn't say, oh, you can't give the field list if you're entering everything. You can still give the field list. One advantage is you can change the order if you like. Just whatever. Suppose you already have data in a Word document or in a text file, and you want to transfer it, and it's in a certain order. So now that order is different from the order you've defined here. So in the insert, you can just change the order so that you don't have to do much, but just import the file and use it. So you can do it. So even if you're entering all the 7 fields of your data, you have the option of putting the field list. All you do is just enter it, right? In the same order, if you like, or in a different order. Really doesn't matter. Okay. And then there is some data here. Please notice how I have an employee number, an employee name, the description. As I said, my description was small, so I went with varchar 20. My names were smaller. I only had first names. And again, as I said, I just copied the data. Then comes the manager number. And the rule should be none of these numbers, 7839, 7698, and so on, they should all be some employee in the table. Like, it's logical that it should be. Otherwise, how will somebody be a manager of an employee if that he or she himself is not an employee of the college? So but just for information, this is a foreign key whose value depends upon the primary key in the same table, right? It could have been a different. So the same is more complicated than the different. So I'll keep my mouth shut, though you should know it. The defaults, I've put defaults wherever. I could have put a 0. But you know what? Why should you do extra work in this sense? Let's say default in next, if I change, oh, everybody gets a commission of 100 for whatever reason, then I don't have to worry and change the zeros to 100 everywhere. I just have to change it at one place. So it gives you the flexibility of working with it. Always try to think what is the best way of doing something whenever you are programming. That should be your aim, right? Always perfection. And then if I want to put a 0, I said you could, like nothing stops you. But again, default, and then null is a special value without quotes. Please remember, null with quotes is different from null without quotes. Can be lowercase or uppercase, doesn't matter. I'm still sticking to uppercase. Hopefully someday I'll just stop it, maybe today itself, and then I can forget it. But again, the aim is just so that you get it. Now, I had said that you can use uppercase or lowercase, whatever works for you, but be consistent. That doesn't mean that your name, date, and purpose headings also have to be lowercase. You know what I mean? Name should start with a capital N, date with a capital D, and P with a capital P. Grammar and spellings have to be correct in your code. There are comments, I know, but I don't understand comments if they're not written well, right? International students may have some problems just because English is their second language. Maybe it's not their first. Domestic students may have problems because their spoken English is very different from their written English. But if you do not write comments correctly, both grammatically or otherwise, which make no sense to me or incomplete, create a database. That's not complete. I'm not going to give you marks for it, right? So you have to write complete comments, create the table in a database, populate it with data, select if you're doing select statements, insert and update, delete if you're doing that. So the purpose has to be complete. Assignment 1 is not a purpose, right? Also, just so that you know and you're aware of it, I'm sure Rita also mentions it, advisory committee members say any resume that is grammatically incorrect or has spelling errors is thrown. You don't even look at it. Because this person doesn't know, has not even taken the time and effort to double check that the spellings are correct or his grammar is correct, which can be done so easily. There's so many online programs that are available. You'll say, now for an assignment, I do that extra stuff. It's up to you. To me, it doesn't matter. All I have to do is talk of marks, right? But I'm telling you, in the long run, it will help you, right? If you have to live here, if you have to work here, you have to have your communication skills perfect and your written skills, because you will be submitting work at many times. Okay, so inserting records into the table, they are simple, but let me now emphasize this hire date, which is very important. Hire date, which is a variable of type date. Now there is date, there is time, there is date time. There are different type of variables. The variables of different types that are present. I've stuck to date because I'm using a date. You can write a date in two formats, right? One, the one I have written. Please notice how I have written it. 4 Ys dash double M dash double D. That's one format in which you can write it. In this case, when you use the dash, and notice always 4 years, don't go with the YY. I don't know how many of you had heard of, I'm sure it's 2018, so you were not that small. When we shifted from the 20th century to 21st century, there was a whole lot of problems that arose because we were going from 19,000 somethings to 20,000. All years were written as 2 digits, YY. Nobody thought that we would shift from 19 to 8. They didn't think about it. If it says 12, does it mean 1912 or does it mean 2012? At that point, in that era, in that century, nobody thought of it. And all programs, especially databases and large, huge programs written in COBOL, everything was YY. So during those last 2 years, 1999, 1998, there was a boom in the industry for COBOL programmers and database programmers. You could get a job like this if you knew a little, right? That was the time to look for those jobs. Thankfully now, every program and in future, this 4 Ys is what is recommended. So I would highly recommend it to you. Don't even try or think of using the double Y. Even if you know, it's all in the 1900s. Don't do it. It's just not a good practice. So there are 2 formats in which you can save a date. And date is not text. Though it is written in quotes, it is not text. You will not use like on it. Like is used with text. You will cast it into a date and then use it. Will it work otherwise? Yes, sometimes it will work and sometimes it won't work. But again, remember our rule. We work right. Then we don't have to think, oh, will this work or will this not? So dates can be written in 2 formats. I prefer this one because it's easier for me to understand. So I go 4 Ys dash 2 Ms 2 D, and you will notice that in my data, that's how I've written it. 1981, 11, 17, and so on. When you use this format, the default for your information is all zeros. 0000 dash 00 dash 00. Okay, that's the default nature of date. So if you use this format, then you put it in quotes, single quotes. If you prefer not to write it in this format, then you can say YYYY, MM, and DD, and you can use it as a number. It's a number then, no dashes in between and no quotes. It's a number, but still you can't say, oh, it's an integer. Don't confuse it. A date is a date. The advantage is big. Date has many functions that you can use. From a date, you can extract the month, you can extract the year, you can compare dates, you can find the age of a person, and so on and so on. So don't treat them as either text or numbers. Treat them as dates and use date functions on them to work with. So that's the advantage. So I didn't go with an int. I didn't go with a text. It just doesn't make sense. The type of data is important. So if it is a date, let's stick with it. So you can choose this format if you like, or you can choose all numbers. When you do all numbers, you don't have to use quotes. And you don't use dashes, of course. Whatever is easier for you, I leave it to you. Okay, I'll stick to this format. It just makes more sense to me. So I have kind of filled the data, and then all I did was I did a select, right? Now what I've done for today is I've kind of written my select, and you've seen quite a bit of this. You've seen the select, from, where, order by, and limit in your last class. You've done all these. Anything in square is optional. You don't need it. I could simply say select this from table name, right? So they're all options. So I've given you the format so that you don't forget, but that's not the end of it. There is more to be added, but that's what we've used till date. Okay. So now I'm going to run my script till here so that I can at least tell you that it works, hopefully. Unless I make mistakes all over. There it is, right? So you can always select what you want to run and then kind of. So there is my table, right? So null is coming up as null, manager number. The defaults are coming up as 0. Why are they coming up as 0.00? Because it was 7,2. So it will show as 0.00. The rest, it just puts a 0 in front of it. Everything else looks okay. Yes.
For the date, if we put just numbers in, when it prints out, will it have the dashes in it, or?
I have no clue. I've never tried it. I really haven't tried it. So you can, if you like. That's a good question. How will it come out? How does it do it? I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, so give it a try and see how it works. I don't want to do it because then it would take me all the time to do it. But a valid question. So if you input it as, if your format is all numbers without dashes and quotes, I'm assuming that that's how it will show, because that's what you've said you want to store them in. Because the display is not your display. The display just picks the data and throws it. So I'm assuming, but I could be wrong, right? I haven't tried it. Okay, so it's the script works still here. So that means everything is okay till my select. So let's move forward now, right? So we've done a few things already, but as I said, I've put these, I think 10 or 15, and I filled in some because you've done some. I filled in a few, and then, as I said, we'll do till wherever we can, because then I would like you to do an in class with me today. Okay, so a list of all the employee names and their job descriptions. So don't forget, it's a select. Now we will need the employee names and so on. And just so that you don't have to keep, I kind of did a field list so that I can see. So the employee name is called employee_name. And the job description is called job_description, for your information. From remains the from. The name of the table is table employee. And that's it. It doesn't say anything else. And that's it. Right? Easy. You've done this before. If it wanted to give me it said, oh, call the employee name as employee name or whatever. Remember, we can always do an as, right? So don't forget, you can always do this. Like normal, grammatically correct English. In our normal life, we don't kind of use underscores and so on. So you can do it. Though I didn't ask you to, but you can always give names if you like. It wasn't as, so it is not necessary. It won't have marks associated with it if it is not as. But I'm just doing it so that you know it can be done. The names of all the managers. So I want to find the names of all the managers. So definitely I need the employee name. I need it from the table called table employee. Now, how will you find the names of all the managers? Who is a manager? Anybody could be a manager, right? But how will you find out that he or she is the manager? And again, you can just say as manager name if you like. Just because employee name is not saying that he's a manager, right? So here definitely it comes handy. Oops. I better stop it today. So here it was handy that I kind of do it. So we know from the table name. Now, how do you know he's a manager? Which field will tell me he's a manager? The job description. Perfect. So do your where. So do your where. And again, select can be written in one line. It's just me for clarity that I do it. The field is called job description. And we will use an equal to. Right now, if you're not sure, if you have given something like he could be a sub manager or part-time manager, then you can just say like. But nothing is provided to me, and so all I'll do is do an exact match, and we don't want to make it case sensitive or anything. So I don't even know how it is saved, but I really don't care. So I'll go manager as long as I know that the spelling is correct, right? So I'll go as manager. So please remember, I'm doing an exact match, and this match is case sensitive. Right? Now, if you like, and we've kind of talked about it, I mean, maybe somebody is called manager blank, blank, blank. You know what I mean? So do you want to trim it just in case? It's a good idea always to trim string fields, right? But trailing blanks are automatically ignored. So if it was manager blank, 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 they're automatically ignored. But it was blank, blank, blank manager, then there is a difference. So just for your information, so that you can remember, this is an exact match. It is case insensitive. And trailing blanks are ignored, not the leading. So I could say something like this. Or if somebody is stored with a manager with blank, blank, like let's try both ways, okay? Anything else? No, I don't think so. Right, let's try that. So these guys are managers, right? So when you're doing a match with an exact, trailing blanks are automatically ignored. You don't have to kind of do it. Now let's try the other, which I haven't. Let's put some manager blanks here. And let's remove it from here. No, that may cause problem. I don't know. No, it's fine. So trailings are okay. Of course, the leadings are not okay. We know that, right? We know that. There's a difference there. Nobody. So again, so what is a good idea? A good idea is to use remember the trim function? Just trim it. So then you don't have to bother about anything at all. But I wanted you to know that the for leading, and it is different, we found that out. Trailing blanks are ignored by default, you can say. For your information, okay? Simple. Take your job description. Now, if, as I said, if it was something like managers, then you will use the like. And then you can put a percentage and a percentage and you can do it. But never will you use, it's incorrect to use wildcard characters with equal to and not to use wildcard characters with like, right? Because they're two different things. So don't confuse them. They're two different things. So work as the question asks, right? So I just said all the managers. If I change my mind and said managers of all kinds or whatever, then, I mean, then it of course would be different. So I'll go like this. I'll remove the equal. I'll go like. And since I'm doing like, I'll do a percentage here. And who cares? As long as he's a percentage. Or as long as he's a manager, sorry. Missing. Semicolon missing in the previous one. And you know what? It really doesn't matter. Like trimming, it really doesn't matter with trim, but anyway. And this should also give me all the answers. So we have 3 managers. So now these are talking about if there were other managers, right? So their job description has managers, kind of stuff. So what do I know which is correct? What is she asking? Of course, it will be very clear in an assignment or an exam, right? But keep in mind, like should use wildcard characters and equal should not use them, because otherwise it makes no sense. Okay. Okay. Names of all employees who do not have a manager. So people who do not have a manager, remember there was a manager number field. So let's do a select. The names of all employees. So let's do a select. Let's do a where. So names of all managers that do not have a manager, which means that their manager field, and the manager field was called manager number, is what? Null. And how do we check with null? Equal is null. Null is always checked with is null. You never say equal to. Null is always checked with is or is not. Okay. So this tells me that these employees do not have a manager. And if you remember, I think we only had one employee who didn't have a manager. King. The name is good. So he's the king and he does not have a manager. Okay. So you have to be careful. What am I looking for? So therefore, I didn't say not null in this field. It didn't make sense. How else would I say? Would I give him a manager number of 0? No, doesn't make sense. Because I can't have a manager number of 0 because 0 is not a valid employment. So the only way I can implement it is that I make it a not a null field. I mean, I don't make it a not null field, and I say, okay, wherever there is an employee who does not have a manager, I'll put null in his or her manager field. With me? Right? Okay. Let's go to the next one. Now the dates one. The names and hire date of the employees who were hired after 1981. Please don't peek in the table to look. Oh, 1981. So the only other ones are 1982 and 1983. So let me write is equal to, I don't know what the years are. The information has to be picked up from the question to answer the question. Once you have the result, then double check if your answers are correct. Don't go back into the table and see, oh, 1981, she's saying after 1981, I see 82, I see 83, and there's nobody after that. So I'll say is equal to 82 and equal to 83. That's incorrect. Nobody peeks in the data, right? So don't peek in the table data. Don't peek and say, oh, what's there? After 1981, what are the years? Who cares? My question is after 1981. Your answer should be after 1981, right? So don't peek in the table. You have no clue of the other hiring dates. So you will never peek. You will double check the answer afterwards. Note that dates can be written as text in the format like I have done, or as a number in the format YYMMDD without scope. Do not use like with dates since they are not text. Keep that in mind. Sometimes it will work. Sometimes it will not work. Depends upon what are we doing with it. I would just keep away from it. So then how do I work with dates? As simple as this. Okay, so what do we need? We need the names and the hire dates. The hire date, I think, was called hire date. Hire date was called hire date. From this table, right? Now, where is the condition? Now, here is where it says, I need to check people who were hired after 1981. So which field do I have to compare? Hire date, right? So what is your hire date? Now comes, what do I do? So do I say equal to and just do, or should I say greater than and just do it? And that's how it works. So don't use like, but of course you will use relational operators. But since the data, though we've stored it as with quotes, which is as text, what we will have to do is we will have to say after. Does it say after? So greater than, equal to, right? So after 1981 means what? January 1st, 1982 onwards, right? That's what after 1981 means. And then what am I comparing it with? I have to compare it with January 1st, 1982, which is, how will I write that? Like hire date is date, that's fine. But how do I write the value that I'm comparing with? So since you're comparing it with something, so I'm going to, you can use greater than, equal to, you can use greater than, really doesn't matter. It depends on what you're writing. So 1982 after 1981, and then it was MM. and then it was DD. So this is what you have to compare it with, right? But dates are not texts. So you don't compare them with text data. On the right hand side, that's text data. So how do I change text data into date is simply like this. Cast it. Heard of it in your Java course, in your programming fundamentals? Cast it, right? And cast function is available and its format is, and that's how you will work as date. The right hand side was just plain text. Look at this. This is just plain text. You are not comparing plain text with the higher date. Keep that in mind. So what do? Cast it. Right? So this is one way of writing it, and there is nothing wrong in writing it like this. You could have said greater than. You could have said 1981. And then comes MM. Is it MM? Yes. And then comes DD. Whatever works for you. And I'm missing my semicolon. And I'm missing my semicolon. So these are persons who were hired as in after 1981. And nobody says, oh, you stored it as text, so you cannot use the number. I don't know how it prints, but I can do this. I can remove the quotes. I can remove the quotes. I can use it either way, but I don't know about the display if it is comes as, and I can do this. I just changed it as a number, but I still have to cast it as a date. So wherever you use a date, please see that you cast it as a date. Otherwise, you're definitely going to lose marks for your information. It may work, and I'm not saying it will not work. It does work some. And sometimes you may have wrong answer and you can manipulate things. And if I said 1981, you could say, oh, like 1982 percentage. So anything that starts with 1982 and percentage means it will be more than 1981. But then you're keeping it open for everything. 1982 A, B, C, D, F, 1982 010, like whatever. What kind of programming is that? That's not good programming. You're saying it just starts with 1982, can be followed by anything. So 1982 ABCD is also valid. You'll say, but I never will put ABCD in my higher data. But how are you relying on who is going to put the data? You can't rely on anybody. Your programming has to be correct. So if there is a correct way of doing it, do it the correct way. It's as simple as that, right? So neither is it text nor is it a number. So if you have to use it as a literal constant, like a constant, literal means constant, just convert them into dates. And all you have to do is use the cast function. And there are other uses of cast which we will learn, but this is one of them. Now all these persons should have been hired after 1981. So they should match. So Scott, Adams, and Miller. Scott, Adams, and Miller, 82s and 82s I'm seeing. Maybe there is nobody else. I don't know. But I mean, I know, but let's double check. So I see 81s and then I see 82s. I don't see anything. So the records are only about 1981 people and 1982. But who tells you? Nobody. You're not even concerned. So don't peek in the data, write your query, and then of course you will double check that my answer is correct. So if the data is small, you can double check your own. Sometimes in the exams, if I give you huge data, I'll give you the answers. You can double check with my answers. That way you're not wasting time. But if 10, 15 records, you can do it quickly, right? Okay, keep that in mind. So you always double check your answer after you've written it, not before. You don't even go there. Okay, now the same thing, it says the name and hire date of all employees that were hired in 1981 only. So I want to find out people who were hired in 1981. Oops. Okay, let's do this. The names and hire dates of all people who were hired in 1981 only. So again, we can do a comparison, right? The hire date, I mean, I can do a comparison. There's nothing that stops me from doing a comparison. So I'm going to do a comparison, and there are a few ways. I can do, oh, it's 1981 only. So well, I have to do a little more. there is a range, January and December. It's not one, so I just can't use one. I'll have to do more than one. Okay, so the hire date should be greater than, of course, and between, right? Both will do, is between this and. Don't forget, we'll have to mention hire date again. The name of the field is repeated, is less than or equal to. And don't forget that we have to do this again, the casting. Okay, so the dates are wrong. Don't worry, I haven't yet finished. Okay, so 81, that's not bad. And here we can say, we are saying less than equal to, okay? Less than equal to 31 days in December. Right? So I've used a greater than equal to and I've said do it. Or of course, the other way would be to use the between verb. Yes. Yes, of course. Yep, absolutely. You can use another relational operator and you can say hire date less than cast 1982-0101. It's up to you. I mean, these are just relational operators. Do whatever you like, right? As long as it is correct. And then, of course, since between came up, and between is kind of handy, especially because we don't have to repeat dates and so on. And it saves me writing it again, and it avoids greater than equals and so on. So between is not a bad one. Both will work. Greater than, less than can be changed, so on and so forth. Which one do I personally prefer? It really doesn't matter. Like between is easier, but let me show you something else, something more easy than between. So these people were hired in 1981. That's all I want. So what I can do is this. I can use a function on the hire date and use it. So the function I'm going to use is year. There is an year function that exists, and the year function returns an integer value. And what do I have to do? There. Right, so how do I know what does it return and so on? Of course, check it up. So the year function returns a 4-digit integer. So it's an integer, so I'm using it without quotes. It's not a date that it returns. I don't have to cast it. It's just a number it returns, and that's easy. If there is an year, is there a month? Look it up. Is there a day? Look it up. Are there other functions in the date variable? Look it up. I've given you a hint. There are functions. The rest is up to you. Right? So there is a whole list of year functions. And that's the whole purpose of using the right type. That you can work with it like what it is. Okay? Yeah. So just so that you know. And the mention has been made. The rest I will leave to you. I again emphasize, please do not use likes and so on, though they may work. They may work. And my notes say that it does work actually. So I'll show it to you, but I'll definitely not do it. Okay, so let's do this. These people were hired in 1981. So 10, these were 10, and the previous ones I think were 3. 10 and 3 is 13, and I think the total records are 13. Somebody has to be hired. They were only 1981 and 82. Now I'm just doing it, but you don't do it. I'll remove it after that. But you can do this. You can say select name and hire date from table employee, where hire date. So all you're saying they were hired in 1981. But imagine the wide open area you leave for this 1981. It could be anything, but you can argue my dates are correct. When I input data, I mean, they can't go wrong, and you're right about that. But I would still say you're not programming intelligently. And this will work. unfortunately. Because all it is doing is what? 1981, anything followed by 1981. And all my data is in the correct format. Like I didn't make a mistake. I cannot make a mistake there because when the data was entered, but suppose you don't even know how it was entered. You have no idea. All you were given is that it's a date, right? It's a date variable. Did somebody make a mistake? Was it? Why should you even rely on anybody? So I will definitely keep away from it. And I'm giving you a warning that if I see date not being used as a date, you are going to lose marks. It's as clear as that. So don't use this as a big thing. Right? It is not text, and you only do I mean likes and equals and all this is for text data. Okay, it is not for date data. So I wouldn't absolutely do it. You're most welcome to do whatever you like, but when marks are added, you will automatically know that I shouldn't be doing it. Okay, so that's what I was saying, but don't treat it, don't work it as data. Okay, let's go to the next one. List the names. So dates are new, so a couple of things on dates, and I think that's good. Let's move forward because I have to explain the difference between zero and null also. List of names and commission of all employees that have earned a commission. So they have a commission, right? So earned a commission means that their commission is greater than zero. There is a difference between undefined commission and a defined commission. Zero is a defined value, but null is an undefined value. So you have to be very careful on the question. If it is saying earned a commission, that means I'm talking about that they have some money, right? I'm not saying it's not defined. So be careful about these words in the question. It is defined or it is not defined. Here, nothing is mentioned, but I'm saying earned a commission. So where comes the question of null there? I mean, null is not even involved. So list of names and the commission. And the commission field was called commission, I think. Yeah, the commission field is called commission. From the table, they have earned a commission means that the commission is greater than zero. Is it a double M? Right, so careful about earned, defined, undefined kind of stuff. Right, defined means it's not null. I'll say where commission is defined, I could say this, or I'll say the commission is not defined. So, but you have to be aware about that defined. What does it mean, right? And it's every language. Null is not a defined value. Its main meaning is it does not exist, right? Like in Java, is equal to null means it's not pointing to a valid address. Okay, so that's what. So I'll use the terms defined and not defined. If nothing is said, here I am, all I'm saying is earned a commission, then where comes the question? Earned a commission means commission is greater than zero. Okay, okay, so just so that you know. The names and salaries of all employees that earn at least 5,000. That was not a tough one, so I kind of just added it for you. You've seen this before. The names, job description, and salaries of all employees that earn between 100 and 2,000. Give two solutions for the query. You've seen both of these before in the last class. So I just added them. So people who earn between 1,000 and 2,000, and I've said inclusive, bringing out verbs to you. Inclusive means both are included. Exclusive means they're not. I could be saying lower limit included, upper limit excluded. So that's the meaning. Normal English meanings of exclusive and inclusive. I could be asking for 2 solutions, 5 solutions, depends how much I know I can grab, right? Here 2 were what I did, so I gave you both and you are aware of that. But remember, between can only be used when there is inclusion. You cannot use between if there was no inclusion, because between by default does not include the limits. Okay. Names and salaries of all clerks is easy again, right? I need the name, I need the salary, where job description is clerk. Again, it said clerks. Now there's a little confusion. Clerks, so does she mean clerks? Now, or I could have said of all clerk employees. Maybe that would be better. But again, I haven't said anything, just say equal. If I've said, you could even say like clerk, percentage, and that's also fine, right? You can do that because we're not peeking in the data. You're not peeking in the data. So the information will be given in the question to you. Now here, see the difference. I've said that have no commission. I haven't said undefined commission. No commission means commission is 0, right? So words are important because you will see it in the assignment. I haven't said no defined commission. There is where I'll go none. When I say no commission, that means 0. Okay. So if nothing is said, it's just working with numbers. When I start saying defined and not defined, then be careful about null and is not null. Find the names and job descriptions who is either a manager or an analyst or a salesman. Give 2 different solutions for this query. You are familiar with or. I want to show you another which you are not familiar with. So is or clear? We've done Boolean operators, right? We did it last week, did we? Yes, I think we did. Yeah, okay, thank you. Now, nothing wrong in it. He's either a manager or she is an analyst or she is a salesman. Now an easier way, like between was easier. Now this is an easy way. Again, it's up to you. You can use the in verb and it acts like a set. You're saying, and see, I mean, I'm saving code, I'm improving clarity, and of course it's easy to write and understand. So where the job description is in this set, so this acts like a set. I don't think it allows you to duplicate values, but I can check. I'm not sure, okay? To me, it means, oh, it's a set. I should only write it once, but I'm not sure if it will complain you can duplicate it. Okay, it didn't complain. So it's not a set. I shouldn't say a set, then I should just call it a list. Right? Because set in math will not allow you to duplicate values. You can't write the same item twice. But seems like here it's just a list. You wouldn't do it. But I mean, you could make a mistake, but why would you write the word analyst twice is what I'm saying. But I wasn't sure because I never, as I said, I try to do things the right way. So it said not a manager or an analyst. So I'm saying, is the job description in this set, in this list, in this group? Let's say it's group, okay? Because list is again a reserved word and it may mean something else. So is it in this group? Sure, yes, work is done. So again, the or is what you've seen before. And I'm again doing an exact match because in my question I say this, and just because my data has it. Again, if there was no clue about it, or of course you were said there can be sub-managers, then we can do the in. Then you can do that, right? In is like replacing qualities. It can be done with wildcard characters. So when you're going straight, that's how you do it. Clear? So that's the in verb. Now, nowhere am I saying that I'm covering everything. In an assignment, if you need to, if I say use this and I haven't done it, Google it. Okay, but you have an idea how things can be done. List the names and job description who is neither a salesman nor a clerk. So I don't want a salesman and I don't want a clerk. They should be, don't do an or. With an or, it won't work properly. Right? Because if one of the conditions is true, it becomes true. And so I'm saying he's neither a salesman nor a clerk. So he's not a salesman and he's not a clerk. So I have to remove both of them. So you can't use an or. So relational operators and Boolean operators are always double check. Always double check. So I've used the not equal here. I've used the not equal here. What I'm going to give you are 3 more solutions, which are a little different. The easy one? The easy one to start with? You did a in, there is a not in. The others are not tough, but this is the easiest. Like you, I mean, so if there is an in, there is a not in, right? Let's look at the other solutions. I'm saying he is neither a salesman nor a clerk. Okay, so let's try this now. Oops. Come on. Okay, let's try this one. And I'm going to use the Boolean operator not. So I've used the relational operators not equal to and the not equal to. I've also used the verb not in, which is of course not the Boolean operator. It's a different verb altogether. But I can say this. I can say where not job description, right? So I'm going to change a little. And again, this is not to confuse you. This is just to give you more options, nothing else. So neither a salesman. Give me a minute. Was neither a salesman nor okay. Let me see if I have 5 or do I have more than 5? Seems like I've made quite a list of it. Okay, let me do some and then I can leave that to you. Where not description is equal to salesman. Remember from last week what I said? The not operator is used with the field name. It's a Boolean operator. You don't use it with a relational operator. Relational operators. And now what do I use? Do I use an or do I use an and? Normal. And not job description is equal to what? Whatever was the other one. Clerk. That's another way of writing it. Not intuitive. But my aim is to just show you that, oh, there's nothing wrong in it. There's nothing wrong in it. Okay, the wrong is here. The red squiggly is coming from here. So I'm saying not job description is equal to salesman. So I'm basically saying description is not equal to salesman. And not job description is equal to clerk. I'm emphasizing the not because when it comes up, you don't realize it. I see many students writing a not here. Not equal. That's not how it will work. Not equal is not a relational operator. The not equal was simple. You can use the first two and it's fine. You can use not in, it's fine. The aim is just to show you more options. And there is another way actually of writing this. Okay. I'm just thinking, okay. Again, the option is not to there. Semicolon is missing somewhere there and there. So I changed the and to or, but notice what I did. I made my not outside. So what am I saying? What's inside? Job description is equal to salesperson or clerk, and I'm doing a not of it. So basically, it's kind of an and without a not. So again, just so that you have solutions. Why? Because I may be saying, give me 5 solutions for this query. The aim is not that I'm trying to, the aim is to force you to think in different ways. Right? You say, what the hell? If I'm doing a job, I'll do it whatever way I like, sure. But remember, we are in a little different environment here. I'm forcing you to learn and think so that it helps you to think when you go outside in that world. So you know, oh, I can do it this way, I can do it this way, and I can do it this way. What do I choose? Depends on then, at that point of time, you can make your own decisions, your own, you know, I don't know, familiarity with the language or how comfortable you are understanding it. That's up to you. Okay? Okay. So they should all work. So neither a clerk nor a... So these persons are, and I've shown the job description so that we know that our results are right. Right? So these persons are neither clerks nor salesmen. So anything else but salesman or clerks. Am I seeing something is wrong in the first two? Okay, so what was I seeing? That's strange. Maybe I selected more than what was required, right? Maybe I selected queries that were required because it didn't make sense. So selecting from here, we need 5 results. Oh, there. We need 5 results and all of them should definitely be the same. So therefore definitely more. So not here, not here, not here, not here, and not here. Right? So again, aim to show you operators. In and not in was new. The date is a big thing which is new. It's not text, it's not a number, likes and inexact matches. And just to show you that things can be done in different ways. If nothing is asked, it's up to you. Exact matches only equals inexact matches definitely with the Wi-Fi connection. They may work, but you may not have an answer, right? Okay. And something that I want to make very clear is the null and the not null. It confuses many students. If defined and not defined is the words I use. And that's what the common thing is. It's not defined. It does not exist is another thing you may hear, right? For my course, for this course, I'll say defined or not defined, right? Okay, let's go. And now for updates and deletes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a break here, right? And we'll do the updates. I'll check my syllabus. I'm almost positive that I can do updates and deletes next week. If I'm going by my syllabus, I'll do it next week and I'll give you the assignment as statement. If not, I will give you the assignment and you will finish it before you do. Okay? So I'll check my syllabus. You have a 20-minute break and we'll go from there. If I'm running on time, I'm fine. Like, I would like you to do some work on it. Week 5 is saying changing data. Okay, we have next week. Yeah, next week. Yeah. That shouldn't cause the problem, but you need to
You remember John? No, that makes me really young. Oh, I'm older than that.
But always use 64-bit software. I mean, for performance issues.
Oh, we're getting started with that. Hanging out with all yes. Abby. I'm trying to show you something. You come, I'm trying to show you, you need my help, you come here. Come sit, the other people would say me too, anyways, you know. Oh my God. The seashell. I'm teaching everyone.
Bro, you all teaching my class, right?
I know like the basics, this is all I got. This is all Java.
Okay, you want to like in line that project
Yeah, that's when you get your second. Are we all linked together or not? Yeah, but it's all. Outside of the block. Yeah, that's responsibility. Yeah, everything's on the ground.
I can see that. Like I sat down and it took me a bit to through each step, and I've been doing it for a while. I have to sit down. But I didn't have this for everything. So Like, aside from C-sharp, so I'm trying to figure out really not in C-sharp at all. They use data structures. That's what my like it. Meets concept Java. And it's kind of super. Yeah, you know, all exactly like this class, but only I know. So I thought that I'll just use one of those. I'm sure because it won't work. Yeah, for the first assignment.
This is all the yeah. Adding part of it. No. Not really.
Yeah, there were like 2 ways that so I haven't finished my code yet, but I was debating between either setting up like an actual class or setting up data and set up almost a like a temporary array with all of the values. So I was just debating if there was a class to make up a whole class.
This is that. No, like, listen, you go into a
In general, yeah, beyond just this assignment. Yeah. The assignment is a simple. The assignment itself is simple. Yeah. We would have managed to get through it. Very
Yeah, that's okay.
I think you want this to new product analysis running while we're downloading it. So I can just imagine how many people can start the right. Like everyone while you were saying, I'm not sure. Visual Studio I use.
What's up this interest?
Like from that base. I like Java.
Yeah, heard. Yeah, I didn't
Right. And you can help me a lot. And then that was like I said, for a while. Yeah, it's kind of, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I used it. I used it so much. Anything, I remember using shades, like C++, there's a get niche. There's another thing. I'll be looking at it.
They basically like, you know, somebody can use the process.
What's with the savagery? No, my son is over there. Just getting all this.
Even if I just let it, it's hear what I want to do.
See, like, I know Lord should have on everything.
Yeah. There wouldn't be much right on it anyway. Unless you're teaching yourself the entire course. It's great policy.
Veía uno que la vez venía del teléfono solo online site. ¿Cuánta película hace?
Show me how to do it.
But I want to remember, okay, this is kind of how it is in one circumstance.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, oh, you know, you just read. And he and then obviously decided like, because I didn't know. Yeah.
When I really hope based on that email that made you feel out of way,
not for salespeople.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, yeah, maybe at the end of class, they'll probably just have, if you want to come show them what you brought, and they'll probably just like, right.
But again, you can't do that with like 40 students. You have to just do it as a class,
Yeah.
which doesn't seem to understand.
I remember you could, yeah, you did really good for somebody else. And then he said, I don't. I was gonna do that. Like, how are you gonna learn, there's a way to do it.
Yeah, like when I went to the class,
Yeah.
she comes to the class and you see it show up on the screen, right? It feels like a mile in it, right? It's good for the courses you do. I think that's
Yeah,
That's how the
slightly different. They're all are you? Are you enjoying it?
ways involved actually teach someone a new language and IDG just by throwing up a theory. In theory,
That's what I never criticized. The only actual one. Yeah, and no one. Yeah.
it's so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the
Physical resources. What is the room number?
8326.
Hi, how are you? A little cold. It's very cold in K326. Can we have the temperature reduced, please? Yes, please. Uh-oh. Can be done right now? I'm in class right now, actually. Yeah. And it's really cold, yeah. Anju Chawla. ANJUCHAWLA. Yeah, it's a classroom, a media multi classroom. Okay, thank you. Bye. Let's hope so. Okay, ready? So my syllabus says that I have week 5 also for changing data. Changing data means basically adding and updating and deleting, right? Though it started in week 4, but that's okay. So I have a week, so I'm okay. So that means we have time to do the in-class. You have the time to do the in-class and I can rest. So let me open it up for you. And the aim in this one is I would like to mark it together with you because it's taking me a lot of time to mark stuff and most of it I'm discussing with you and you can mark it with me, okay? So let me do this for you very quickly. So if you go to Blackboard and under assignments, where it says in-class assignments, it's basically from last week. What you did in assignment 1, it's an extension of that. Okay, and it's called ICA2. So I need you to use my SQL file, please. I know you may have done it differently in your assignment 1. Like, so what I've done is I've taken assignment 1 that you did, and I've made questions based on that assignment, right? So the SQL file, please use my SQL file. Don't use yours, because again, if things are different, types are different or whatever, then again, I'll be stuck. And then all you do is you have a document file here, which has a few questions. So it says you have created a database and a table to store drink information in a previous assignment, which was your assignment 1. I have attached the script as a starting point. So I want you to use my file. Please download it and add the solutions of the queries below. Queries means select statements. Please fill in your name, date, and purpose of the script before you start this assignment. Please pay attention to the commenting I have done in code. Ensure your submitted code is always well documented. Like, I have done commenting for you just because you did it in the first one, and this one I said, again, see, please pay attention on how we are doing it. So in this one, the only marks for your commenting is your name, date, and purpose, basically. Answer the following queries using select statements. Check that the results are correct by comparing the resultant table with the drinks table manually. So after you're done, add these queries to the end of the script, numbering them correctly. So you'll give me answers 1, 2, 3, 4. If you don't do something, just leave it empty, but mark it, right? That way it makes it easy for me to mark it. So I'm thinking if I can make it, like write a program to just match, but there's so many options. So here are 9 queries. 9? Was there 9 or more? No more. Here are 14 queries that I've given you. They're very specific as to what needs to be done. After you are done, you will rename your script as ICA to your name. Right now, of course, it's not called that. And submit it via the assignments, in-class assignments, ICA2 link on Blackboard. I will only accept correctly named SQL scripts. Guys, when I download something from Blackboard, if it doesn't have your name, it makes my life a little difficult, right? I have to look you up by student numbers, which is too much. So it's just a request that you put in your names. I know it's not important. You'll say, like, you force us, but it makes it easy for me. Please don't submit text files. Now, I haven't done this. I haven't marked your first assignment, but I don't know. But this is from my experience. Students will say .txt instead of .sql. Then I have to convert them to SQL, though it takes only a minute. But I have to do it, and then I can open them up in it. So I'm trying to make my life easy. If you follow instructions, it's easy for me to mark it. Okay. Please call me over to check it before you submit. All I'm trying to see is that you've done your work. This assignment, these queries together, and you give marks yourself, because it's either wrong or right. You know what I mean? So that will take around maybe 15 or 20, and that will be a review too. So I don't think we'll get time today, but you should be able to finish it.
The purpose is already given, so if we
Oh,
need to
bad of me, I forgot it. Okay, so your name and date then. My mistake. I had to put it in my solution file, and I did it here. Gave you the wrong file. That's okay. That's my solution file. But anyway, can't do much about it now, right? Yeah, so the purpose is already given you, right? Yeah, I remember now. I was doing it in my solution, and then I forgot to kind of remove it. So what are we sitting at? We are sitting at 140, which is 1 hour and 20 minutes. Should be easy. You should be able to complete it. I know there are 14 queries, but it's not a big job, okay? So please work independently. Like when you do it, you can use my whatever we've done in class. You can look up the internet to look for something if you want, but not for solutions, but for any reference you can. Okay. If there are any questions related to the questions, like something is not clear, I'll clarify it for you. Okay? Ask me and then maybe I'll clarify it for everybody. Like it sometimes, it's just sometimes happens that what I'm trying to say is not what you're trying to understand. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I need to use the washroom. I've requested for a temperature change in this room, but it's so cold.
Yeah, too cold.
And you're drinking a cold drink.
I see too. Ask me what number 1, 2, 3,
So I'm hoping that we can complete it by the class end. I'm still going to take attendance just in case. Okay, you need an extra hour or something, but I think we should be good. Shouldn't take more than an hour. So I'm passing a sheet and a pencil. Just put your names on it as it appears on black.